So,
welcome to this week's episode of A Lost Cause. We just had a little blooper to start the show because we thought we were starting the camera, but then it took a photo of us.
And it was greatly disturbing.
So a sign of things to come, perhaps, on tonight's podcast, which we have sort of been dreading because our character this week is Sayid Jarrah. So let's just get it out of the way, just off the top of the show. Annie, why do you so strongly dislike Sayid?
Okay, let's be honest. It's very clear. He shot young Ben.
He shot young Ben.
What? There was no point in doing that.
So, as you will gather as we go along, Annie cannot forgive Sayid for shooting her favorite character when he was just a young, poor kid. So we will be returning to that theme, I'm sure. But to kind of create a little background, we are going to sort of talk about the context in which Sayid shot Ben. So just provide a bit of background, why was he mad at Ben? Why did he think it was necessary to shoot Ben as a child?
So, they were in 2004, and Sayid finally found...
one of the Oceanic Six gets off the island.
Yes, and found the love of his life, long-lost love. And she, pretty much immediately dies. She gets run over by a car.
No, they get married, and I think they had,
and then the next
a year.
day.
No, it was about a year.
And then the next day after that year.
And her name is Nadia.
Yeah, Nadia gets run over. Desmond. And it was, it may or may not have been Jacob's fault.
Okay,
but we're going to talk
first,
about that later.
Let's get to why Sayid blames Ben.
Benjamin Linus is
not for Nadia's death, but just...
Okay, can I finish my sentence, Shawna?
Well, please.
Okay.
Continue.
Ben finds Sayid, says, I know who did it. He worked for Charles Widmore,
right,
who originally hates Ben.
Yeah.
And so Sayid kills this guy, and then he's like, who's next? Who else in Charles's, organization are we gonna kill? Ben gives him list of names, sort of like Finch in Person of Interest. And
it's a hit list.
Sayid just kills them all. And then after that, he kind of realizes, oh, I've been used.
Yeah, he gets to the end of the list and kind of realizes, Ben exploited his grief over Nadia to, fulfill his own purpose, his own vendetta against Charles Widmore. And actually, if you think about it, we don't even know for sure if that's true, that, Widmore is responsible for Nadia getting run over. That's what Ben tells Sayid. He seems to have, some evidence of it, but knowing Ben, it's not a sure thing.
What?
He could have just planted that misinformation to manipulate Sayid into killing all these people.
Okay, and then Ben, of course, gets everyone back to the island, but there's a glitch. On the island, before Ben came to the mainland with the Oceanic Six, Ben turned a wheel to move the island, and time travel started, and then they finally ended up in 1974.
Yeah.
And stayed there for 3 years, and then Ben left the island as the second he turned the wheel. So he was on the mainland, and then so the people on the island, Juliet, Sawyer, Daniel, all those people, they stayed in 77. Ben and the Oceanic Six are in 2004.
Until
3 years later, for both of them. It's not like they're stuck in just that 1 year.
Right.
Oh,
time
no,
passes.
Not in 1977. 1974.
74. Yeah, time passes in both
Yes.
timelines.
Ben and Eloise, Daniel's mother, this is so complicated. Get them back to the island. But there's a glitch when they crash, because some of them end up with the people who ended up in what is now 1977.
Yeah, some of them go back in
and
time.
some people are in 2007.
So we end up with Sayid Jarrah in 1977.
And he is not, and all the other people go to, and Sawyer has a good, like, position. He gets everyone, like, a job.
Yeah,
Everyone is okay.
Sayid is, like, separated
Sayid is separated and running handcuffed in the jungle. Radzinski, find him, including also with Jin, and they are like, this guy's a hostile or other, and take him to the prison. And then we see a familiar face of young Benjamin Linus, who we saw from season 3, is obviously interested in the hostels.
And wants to become one.
Yes, because he hates the Dharma Initiative. He has some might say, abusive father. And so pretty much young Ben befriends Sayid and is like, I'm going to help you get out here. So he does, and he has this great plan, and he blows up a house and then makes a diversion to break Sayid out of jail. And then they're running through the jungle, and then Sayid decides to, I don't know, like, what possessed him in the moment, but he shoots young Ben.
Who's, like, about 15.
Sayid
thinks he's, like, 12.
Yeah.
So I think, though, it's important to note that Sayid doesn't just shoot, like, this young kid because, he's mad at him and whatever. It's really because he's trying to prevent Ben from growing up and becoming, the Ben Linus that we all know and love, or at least love to hate. So that's why he does it. It's not just like, he ruined my life, I'm going to kill him. In his mind, it's sort of similar to the question people ask, the philosophical question.
Don't compare them. Don't compare them.
Fine, but I'm not comparing it. I'm just saying, like, people talk about that. If you could go back in time and kill someone bad, like Hitler, for example, is usually what people talk about. Like, would it even be wrong to do that? Or would you be doing, like, a public service? So that's how Sayid justifies killing this teenage boy, or trying to kill him, is that he's preventing him from becoming, who he ends up.
To talk about what the karma is for that, though.
Well, and so, yeah, we can talk about that now, but that's really kind of the background.
And then Sayid's like all sad, and he's like, oh, you made me like this, and wow. And then he ends up back in the Dharmaville because he's really stupid, and Roger is mad. Mm-hmm. He shoots him right in the arm. Should have aimed for the chest, but whatever.
Yeah, Roger, the devoted dad, is so mad at Sayid for shooting Ben that he shoots him.
Yeah.
But another interesting kind of twist on this is, like, we were talking about this earlier. It seems like anytime anybody on Lost tries to sort of bend the rule, whatever happened. That's kind of the time travel rule of Lost. But on occasion, people try to sort of mess with it and say, no, I can change it. And whenever they do that, it's almost like the island is punishing them. Mm-hmm. So, for example, Daniel Faraday, he's the one that coined the phrase, whatever happened. But then, on reflection, he's like, I've been so focused on the constants, I forgot about the variables. I think we can change time. And so that's why he is, like, going to find his mother, Eloise. And what happens?
He dies.
Yeah, he dies. His own mother shoots him. And then we have Juliet, who's, like, trying to, change things by setting off the bomb, and it doesn't work. But then here we have another example of Sayid, in trying to prevent the future, actually ensures that it happens. Because
What? I'm sorry. I'm trying to read your notes.
he's trying to kill Ben so that he won't grow up to be, you know, the mastermind, Ben Linus. But does it work?
No.
What happens
He
instead?
caused it.
He causes it. Because in order to save Ben...
But do we really want, like, boring Dr. Linus Ben?
Well, who's to say? But, you know, they try to save Ben and they take him to the others known as the Hostiles, and Richard warns them and says, look, if we take him, we can probably save him, but he's never going to be the same. He's going to lose his innocence, and he's not going to remember that any of this happened.
Which is, like, a pretty great, like, little bandage around that plot hole.
Yeah, the plot hole that, like, Ben didn't remember Sayid, you know, shooting him when he first met him. But anyways, so Sayid inadvertently sets off a chain of events that actually does create Ben Linus. If he hadn't shot Ben, who knows, right? Maybe he would have not turned out the way he did. So it's sort of an interesting theme that, like, the island really doesn't like when people try to change things.
But then, okay, never mind. Some people believe that him shooting him caused a different timeline.
And then there's that theory too, yeah.
But I don't. I think I'm going to stick with Daniel's wise words. Whatever happened, happened.
Mm-hmm. But getting back to who's responsible for Nadia's death, it raises another interesting question that, I mean, not that Sayid blames Ben for causing her death, but really, like, who may be partly to blame is Jacob. Because right at the moment before this
Jacob's not that great. He's not that great.
Right before this collision is about to happen, Jacob actually approaches Sayid and distracts him. So Sayid is not walking along with Nadia into the street where she's run down by the car. So you can kind of look at it in a couple ways. Like, did Jacob distract Sayid deliberately, like with the intention that Nadia does get hit by the car? Or was he just trying to save Sayid from getting hit by the car? Either way, he let Nadia die. Like, you know, the very best interpretation you can have is that he just let her die and did nothing to intervene, knowing that it was going to happen.
So annoying.
And it's all because, yeah, Sayid is a candidate, and so...
Why?
You know,
he's not that great.
I guess, like, the way that Jacob explains it, though, you don't even necessarily have to be good to be a candidate. It's more... You know, he's not taking you from anything else, right? Like,
well, then why can't... Okay. I'm not going to get riled up.
Although, you know what? In that case, it's not true. Because he was, with Nadia, he was taking him away from the love of his life. And Jacob must have known that, like, Sayid wasn't going to really be a candidate anyway. So it really does raise this question. Like, you know, Jacob is supposed to be benevolent. He's supposed to be, like, if the man in black is... you know, the dark side, like the evil, Jacob's supposed to represent the opposite. But is Jacob really good? And I think it's a question we'll come back to.
I'm biased because of things, but he has done a lot of, like, not great
Like,
things.
is Jacob kind of a sociopath? That he just sort of doesn't care what happens to people as long as he fulfills his mission for the island? I don't know. But an interesting question nonetheless. So, Annie, I know that you are not a big Sayid fan, but would you admit that Sayid does deliver the best line of the show?
Yeah.
Yes? Which is?
Say it.
So, when Sayid is, like, in the jail cell, and then Sawyer comes to check on him, and he's like, how are you doing? Or how are you holding up? And then Sayid, just perfect delivery, says, a 12-year-old Benjamin Linus just brought me a chicken salad sandwich.
Which we have here.
In honor of that great line, which we just love, because it's just, like, delivered so perfectly and just so funny. The idea of, like, a 12-year-old Benjamin Linus just brought me a chicken salad sandwich. Which, actually, we saw a cake online, right? But that's what was like written on the cake.
That's gonna be my birthday cake.
Okay, well, let's remember this.
Yeah.
Because I think your birthday should be
It's
chicken
coming
salad
up
sandwiches
soon,
and then
and
the cake.
that's what I'm gonna have on it.
And you're all invited.
we love you guys, all you millions of viewers.
So I think even you must admit that we have to give Sayid a little bit of leeway because that was such a great line.
And
And maybe the credit goes to the
fine.
actor portraying Sayid, but whoever wrote the line, like, good job, and
they get a raise.
perfect delivery. Okay, well, here's a question. We talked about Nadia, but
Why?
is
I'm sorry,
Nadia
it's just
really Sayid's true love?
I don't care. I don't care at all.
Okay.
So
Annie doesn't care. I'm a bit more of a romantic, so I care about these things. Well, it's interesting because we think of Nadia, of course, as being his true love. But before Sayid gets back to LA and finds Nadia, he does have a very short-lived romance with Shannon.
I don't know, like, is he really, like, all that crazy about Nadia? Because he was also, like, he also was gonna sleep with Alana, and, like, also Shannon, so it's like, do you really even care that much?
And, like, you know, I couldn't really buy the romance between Sayid and Shannon. Like,
yeah.
It just wasn't that believable to me.
It just kind of seemed forced.
Well, and particularly that it's like, oh, like, he loves her, like, really? But I think that was just to set up, you know, Shannon getting shot by Ana
And why
Lucia.
was she shot? Like, why did the actress leave?
Well, she was in Taken, which was like a big hit movie, and I think she thought she could just kind of segue into, you know, films, and I don't know if it was like her decision or the show's, but yeah, so the reason I raise this is that, you know, like I said, we think of it being Nadia, and yet in the sideways, Nadia is actually married to Sayid's brother.
Who cares?
And then, like, at the last episode of the show, Sayid's reunited with Shannon, so it's almost like suggesting that, you know, that was really his true love. So, just kind of an interesting. Yeah. Well, thanks for cooperating anyway and participating in the discussion. So then, what would you say is Sayid's purpose on the show? And, like, does that purpose change and does it work?
I guess he's just kind of pretty useful.
Particularly in the first few
seasons because he's good with electronics and he's a good torturer, which is also one of the things that's like, oh yes, he's so great. He's a torturer and he shoots kids. Let's go.
I think that he does serve an important purpose because he was a torturer, like interrogator who tortured people. He's good at telling when people are lying. And so it really does set up very nicely, like the interrogation scene with him and Henry Gale. You know, like that makes for some pretty compelling television. And Sayid is just a good guy to sort of have around at the beginning because he kind of knows what's going on. Like he understands what's happening with the radio and the signal. You know, he's got that kind of like...
But then we get Daniel. And then, like, Sayid doesn't have a purpose.
It's true. Like, I think that Sayid loses his purpose, and the show can't really figure out what to do with him because, you know, part of the time it's like, oh, Sayid doesn't want to hurt people anymore. He doesn't want to, like, kill any more people. But then that never really lasts very long.
No, it does not.
And really, when you think about it, you know, we've talked about this before, that, like, all of the characters on Lost are pretty flawed. And some of them have done very bad things. But I would venture to say, like, Sayid has done the worst things. Like, if you think of the main characters. If you think of, like, the flashbacks, but then also his actions on the island and off the island, like, he's done really bad stuff.
And I didn't tell you this so that we could have something for the podcast, but I saw online something saying, yeah, like, Sayid's the worst main character, and then in the comments it's like, no, Ben is, because he's responsible of genocide. Who cares about the Dharma Initiative?
Well, I don't think that is right to say. Yes, we do care about genocide, and we think it's wrong. But I would qualify that to sort of say, like, I don't really think it's fair to blame Ben, actually, for the purge, because, like,
He was just a part of it.
Widmore was in charge at that time, so, you know, he ordered it, and presumably they're all taking their orders from Jacob. Like, supposedly.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
Which raises another real, like, either a plot hole or, like, a problematic question. Because, fine, Ben's never talked to Jacob, so Jacob's not giving Ben any direct orders, but, like, supposedly Richard is in communication with Jacob, can, like, talk to him anytime. He's sort of the go-between. And Richard was, like, obviously, you know, complicit in the purge. So, like, did Jacob, like, order the purge? Yeah. Because then it's either Jacob or Widmore that's actually responsible.
Either way, it's not Ben's fault. And it never was.
Well, I mean...
And if you want to fight me, fight me.
Yeah, but, like, you can't deny that, like, Ben is sitting in that Dharma van next to his dad and, like, lets him die.
That's one person.
And actually, he does kill his dad because he releases the gas.
That's one.
Yeah, his dad.
Okay, so Kate? We're not talking about Kate anymore?
Well, okay, but, like, you say one person as if, like, that's the only person Ben kills on the show, but, like, he does kill John Locke, and he tried to kill him before. And he kills that guy driving Locke around.
So. Wait, I didn't like that guy, okay?
But that doesn't change the fact that he's killed multiple people, even if he's not responsible for the purge.
But he killed Kimi, that's good.
Yes. I think
he also killed, like, everyone on... No, okay.
I think we can all agree, though, that, like, Sayid... Like, who's worse than Sayid as far as the main cast members? Like, you know, the Oceanic 815 survivors, the others. I mean, the only person that's, like, possibly worse than Sayid is Kimi, right?
Yeah, and he's not even... Well, yeah, although... Like, the one thing I can never forgive Kimi for is killing Alex. But Alex was only a year older than young Ben when he got shot.
Yes, okay, so you're saying that it's not a mitigating circumstance that Sayid was, like, doing it, believing he was doing it for the greater good? You can't really say that about Kimi. He was just killing Alex just for no reason, right? There was no, like, redeeming. So, Kimi's the worst.
I hate you, Kimi.
So we've talked about how, like, Sayid is bad, but does he ultimately redeem himself, which is, of course, probably, like, the major thread through Lost is this idea of redemption. So they're on the sub. A bomb has been, like, set off. It's kind of the timer is ticking down, and Sayid sacrifices himself to try to save the people on the sub. So is this, like, enough to redeem Sayid?
No.
Okay. Annie says no.
Annie says no.
But it would appear that the show wants us to think that he has been redeemed, because in the sideways, like, Desmond is going to great lengths to, like, you know, find Sayid and to orchestrate this reunion with Shannon, and he is in the church in the final scene, which would suggest, you know, that he has been redeemed. Whereas, keep in mind, like, Ben doesn't even enter the church, right? So kind of interesting, though, like, that it is his choice. Like, Ben feels like perhaps he's not worthy.
But, you know, I really do think that the only reason that the writers did that was because, like, if he was in the church, probably Alex would be there too. And then you'd have to explain how she remembered, and Danielle, and then Danielle and Ben wouldn't be okay with each other, and Alex wouldn't be okay with Ben. So.
Yeah. But I like that Ben doesn't go in, because I think it really does show some repentance on his part, and that he's still got to, like, work through some things before he can actually accept that redemption. Whereas Sayid has no problem with it. Like Sayid, in the alley, not only would he remember, like, hey, it's Shannon, but he would remember that he was a torturer and killed all these people.
It's just kind of weird that, like, the thing that gets him out of the car is that she's getting, like, beat up when he tortured a woman before.
Yes, but I don't know. I mean, I guess that's something to think about. Like, how much do our circumstances shape who we become? And, does Sayid have a good heart, like a heart to protect people and help them, and he was just unfortunately in the wrong set of circumstances? Or is he just not a very good person?
No, he's just not a good person.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's Annie's take on it.
But not my hot take.
But not her hot take. Just a take.
Which one is it? You're going to have to whisper it in my ears.
You know what? I don't remember what we...
Because there was, like, two.
I don't
remember which one.
Yeah. Well, I think I may have accidentally said the one. Wasn't it that, like, the island...
No. Okay, just whisper. I'm sorry, guys. Just one second.
It's
We'll
okay.
edit this out.
Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like this podcast is a little bit slanted on the negative because of Annie's
I don't
position
care.
on Sayid. But there might be people out there that they like Sayid.
Then find a different podcast.
And, like, they relate to Sayid, and they're like, oh, Sayid is the best.
Oh, because they've tortured people and shot children.
I don't know. Everybody, some people like Ben the best.
Okay. I'm out of here. I quit this podcast. And I'm taking this with me, so...
All right, well, we'll be back after a short break. Welcome back. That short break was brought to you by our sponsor this week, Juliet Has a Gun. I persuaded Annie to come back because I let her eat the chicken salad sandwich. So I don't know how much she wants to contribute to the rest of this podcast, though, but at least she's here. So that's important. So like I was saying before Annie left in a huff, is that whatever you think of Sayid, and I'm not saying Sayid is my favorite character, I find the episodes with Sayid's, like, flashbacks to be, like, always duds. They're not good episodes. But there are some good Sayid moments. We talked about the best one, the chicken salad sandwich line. But also think about the episode Enter 7-7, where, like, they find Mikhail, and, he claims to be the last living member of the Dharma Initiative. And then there is this just really good, like, cat and mouse game with Sayid. Again, this is, like, part of Sayid's purpose, right? Is he's kind of like a human lie detector, like, not to the extent of Poker Face, but, like, still, like, because he's interrogated so many people. And so he knows that Mikhail is lying. And so there's just that really good scene. And, like, what does Mikhail say again? Of, like, why do we continue to... How does it go?
I don't know. Why do we continue to play this game when we already know we're on the next stage or something?
Yeah, we've, like, entered the next stage. And it's just, like, so good. Yeah, I think Mikhail deserves his own episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He can share with Brzezinski. They work in the same place.
Interesting that you have love for Mikhail, who is responsible for killing Charlie, but you can't forgive Sayid. Just was going to point that out. But let's talk a little bit about the actor who plays Sayid, Naveed Andrews. He is not Iraqi at all. He's actually British, and his family heritage is from India. He was nominated for an Emmy for his role as Sayid.
But who got an Emmy?
2 cast members. We have mentioned this before, so hopefully you remember. It's John Locke, who actually won twice, and Ben Linus, Michael Emerson. But I actually hadn't realized before today that Sayid was even nominated. Now, here's some, like, tea. Should I spill the tea about... So, when Naveen was 16, he started a romantic relationship with a woman who was 30 years old. And they ended up, like, having kids together and everything, so... And then, when that...
That's, like, three years older than me. Can you imagine that? Me dating someone who's, like, what, 27?
Yeah, but, like, think of someone who's, like, 27 or, like, 30. Crazy. And then after that relationship broke up, he started dating Barbara Hershey, from Beaches. And she was probably, like, I don't know, like at least
Oh,
two
we have a
decades
shout out.
older.
We do have a shout out for this week.
Go ahead.
Shout out to Roger Workman, who
John
is responsible for all.
Okay, but why are we shouting out?
Because it was his birthday on Tuesday. No, yeah. Tuesday. It was Tuesday. And he turned 68.
And he's, of course, referring to the actor John Gries, not sure how you say it. Some of you may know him as Greg from The White Lotus, so he's had a bit of a career renaissance recently. But
we love you,
yes.
Roger.
Yes. As soon
Love
as
you.
I woke up on that day, my phone was just blowing up, and I was like, what is it? Ding, 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 ding. And Annie had sent 4 pictures of the same, like,
collage.
of,
Birthday collage. I have to do it.
Roger Workman in his Dharma suit with, like, a birthday hat on. So.
I love him. I have to celebrate him.
But you're okay that Ben killed him, though. You're a complicated girl, Annie. But anyway, getting back to Naveed Andrews, he was also featured in the 2006 edition of People Magazine's World's Most Beautiful People. So I don't think that Roger ever made the list, but or Michael Emerson, but Naveed Andrews did, in fact. So congratulations. And then a couple years ago, I was watching the really good series The Dropout, and there's this character, and I saw him sitting at this table, didn't recognize him, but then his voice, I was like, wait a minute, is that Sayid? And yes, it was. And he was actually nominated for some kind of award for that as well. But yeah, really good to see him still out there getting it done. But as we kind of conclude this week's episode, I think generally, like we talked about how Sayid had a purpose at the beginning, the first few seasons, but towards the end of the show's run, it's like they couldn't really decide what to do with him. Is he repentant? We see him building homes for Habitat for Humanity. He's trying to turn things around, and then he promptly goes to the island and shoots a 15-year-old boy. So it's sort of
and then goes crazy.
Yeah. Then there's the real low point, which is Sayid at the temple, which is probably one of the worst storylines
of the temple.
Of the whole run. Yeah.
Although I'm thankful for it, because if there was no temple, there would be no Benjamin Linus.
Yeah, but in season 6, the temple is just the worst. It's just season 6 would be really good if it wasn't for all that temple stuff.
Exactly.
But like we talked about in our first podcast, every season has something bad about it, and that's what's bad about season 6.
Mm-hmm. Well.
Okay, so... Oh, did you have more?
Well, there's nothing wrong with season 3 or season 5. Both.
No. 3 is bad because of the... Oh, yeah, you like season 3.
Season 3 is my favorite.
I don't like that they're separated for
Love
too long.
the others.
I don't like it when, because, those were such important characters.
But season 4 is way more complicated.
Yeah, but...
And there's more, different groups going off.
And then season 5 is Algira Air. That is kind of the boring
They're
one.
not that bad.
No, they're not that bad, but it's kind of... We don't really care about that timeline, right? As much as we care about Dharmaville. But agreed, there's nothing really bad about season 5. So to review, season 1, what was bad about season 1 again?
It just needs to, get picked up a bit.
Needs to get moving.
It's still great, though.
Season 2, The Raft, right?
Whoa.
Season 3, I say.
I love season 3. It's perfect.
I don't like that they're separated from each other
Well,
for so
what?
long.
They're just, all gonna be with the others. Doesn't make any sense.
I like it when everyone's together at the beach. I mean, and it's good that we see the world of the others, but... And then season 4, let's hear for the freighter is the worst thing about season 4.
I like how you announced that.
And then, as we just said, the temple for season 6. So here's a question kind of going back to this whole idea of whether or not Sayid is redeemed. Like I said, Sayid is in the church for that last scene, but Michael is not.
Yeah. Michael, okay, I hate Michael because
like, he's my son, or they took my son.
That's my son.
Walt.
Oh. Sorry, now I understand that reference. And like, is it not obvious he killed Anna, Lucia, and Libby, which...
And that's why he's bad, right? That's why, like... But look at how he's punished for that.
Yeah, like, and then he's suicidal, and then he's like, he goes back to the island, and then gets blown up on the freighter, and then he has to be one of the, like, whispers.
He's one of the whispers. So even after he pretty much sacrifices himself, says to Jin, you go, like, go be with, son, and, like, you're going to have a kid, like... So he does the same thing, which for everybody is like the redeeming thing, right? Like Sayid sacrifices himself, Jack sacrifices himself.
Sayid's and Michael's are pretty minor compared, in my opinion, to like Juliet and Charlie. Those are the big two.
Still though, like Michael does sacrifice himself, and then he ends up being kind of, trapped as like a ghost, like ghost whisperer, just like on the island. So it doesn't really seem fair. And like, because Michael's not in the church, it seems to suggest that like he wasn't redeemed, but that doesn't really make sense to me. Unless, he's just waiting for Walt, right?
Right, but how old's Walt by then?
Well, because Walt becomes the new man in charge, right?
Yes, after a very long time.
So then, like, that would explain why Michael has to wait so long, maybe. Okay, Annie, I think we've reached everybody's favorite part of the show, the hot take.
The hot take is Sayid should not have been forgiven so easily by the Phantom.
Yeah.
There's just no way that...
And it's not even really... Like, they don't even really make a case for it.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't, like, try to defend him at all.
Yeah. And when you stack it up, like we said, I mean, especially with Sayid turning bad in season 6, it's sort of just, like,
But then also, another thing is, like, in that season 6, Jack. I don't like that Jack didn't give Sayid that pill, Well, the, like, poison pill.
Yeah.
He should have done that. Because so many people would have survived.
I know, but...
So many random others.
But Jack didn't know.
I love my others.
Like, Jack just couldn't do it.
Jack.
But it's interesting, too, that, like, even Hurley, and we've talked about how forgiving Hurley is, but, like, Hurley is so preoccupied with, like, saving Sayid, right? Like, after he gets shot and he's in the van and they're trying to save him.
Oh, he deserved to get shot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, even as bad as, like, it wasn't in the lung.
It's interesting, though, that, like, the show seems to be so forgiving towards Sayid, but I don't think that they really go far enough in redeeming him. Like, especially when you think about the one flashback with that woman with the cat. Like, and, like, her husband accuses Sayid of torturing her, and, like, there's, like, acid burns all over. And, like, Sayid lies and says that he'd never seen her before, but then it turns out, like, yes, it's true. Like, he did torture this woman. And so, again, that's just another example. And so I don't really think I don't know how redemption totally works on the island. Like, is it the scales and you have to do enough good to outweigh the bad? Like, it's not really clear, but I would agree with you.
I think that Sayid just feels sorry for himself. And he's like, yeah.
But what about this? Your main beef with Sayid is that he shot and attempted to kill a 15-year-old boy. But in the same token...
It's not just a boy, that's Ben.
Okay, the Ben. But at the same token, Jack, who can save Ben...
Jack was terrible too, and we should have talked about that.
So it's sort of like,
many
another philosophical question of like, is it as bad to like try to take a life? Is it as bad to be able to save someone and let them die? Is it what you do, or is the omission
Jack
as
really
bad as the action?
Just done it. I mean, like, Ben aside, poor Juliet, and she doesn't know what she's doing. He just
leaves her on her own. And if anyone had a reason to want Ben to die, it would be Juliet, because, he took her away from her sister and wouldn't let her off that island, and like killed Goodwin, or sent him to his death anyway. So, and yet Juliet is just like doing everything she can to save him, because it's not okay to let a kid die.
I don't like how you're villainizing him, but whatever.
How I'm villainizing the main villain of the show?
He is not the main villain
I have
of
such
the
a problem
show.
with that. Well, he is a villain of the show.
He's not a villain. He's a good guy.
That's what he says. He says, we're the good guys.
I know that. I have a poster of him saying that.
And you just, buy it hook, line, and sinker. So we have to protect...
Why do you find it so hard to believe?
Believe what?
Why do you find it so hard to believe?
I don't.
Come on. Oh, my goodness. Shawna,
why do you find it so... Whoever said it was easy. What is it?
No. Why do you find it so easy? And then I say, it's never been easy.
To believe in Ben, I believe it.
Yeah.
Well, on that contentious
That
note,
was so bad. We'll edit that out. We'll redo it.
I think that we will conclude. If we could edit out everything Annie wanted, the podcast would be very short. So maybe this will be a shorter episode.
Oh my, it's only 15 minutes? How?
No,
how?
This was the
feels
second
like
one.
50 million hours.
We stopped it.
Oh, my bad.
Anyways, thanks very much for joining us. We appreciate your patience. And we will...
I've been patient. If you're patient too, I think I can help you. I'm on fire, man.
We will...
Like that bus. What? We will see you in another life, brother.
Namaste.